Okay, here we are. Right, now I'm doing this off the cuff. I don't like editing, but seeing as there's no reviews in England, well, not in England, doesn't matter about England, there's no reviews in English about this. This is OneSimPro button box, so it's for your steering wheel. Look, there's no British reviews of this. Now, I've owned this for a while now, I've been using it, so this is what you get in the box. You get this, it's like a little, it's got a magnet on it, sticks to the front. It's a button box. Just to explain what all of these controls are, I'll zoom in, it's probably a bit easier if I zoom in and move this in the right place. I don't have great light in here, let me turn the light on more so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go, that's much better. I should have just done that in the beginning. Now I'm going to go through this. So this is what I received today in the post. Now I've got two of them. You might be wondering why there's two. I'm going to explain that in a little bit. So while I talk about this, I'm also going to tell you what I like about it and why I've got two of them. It's kind of important. So anyway, good things about this, it's really, really good. Real clicky buttons. They don't flip off, they unscrew off. So you just screw it off and there you are, there's a button. You can swap them and change them how you like. So you know that you're not kind of upsetting that knitter switch when you pull it off like other knitter switches. I've got another switch on another button box I'm going to talk about in a minute as well, just for comparison's sake. This is not an encoder. This is something this is something that surprised me. I thought this was going to be an encoder, but it's not. It's like each button is its own number, let's say in Windows or in whatever you're using, and it ramps up to however many notches you see here. So I use this in iRacing for like to assign all the different black box options. So let's say you've got pits, relative, fuel, stand-ins, whatever, you know, and I just go through it as and when. This is real clicky and stiff, really good button. These are great because when you're holding the steering wheel like so, you can't really see from the angle, but look at my little fingers under here, then, you know, and then you get to just push it in, and there's so much travel on that. You can't really see it, but there is a lot of travel on this. So liking this too, it's tactile, it notches very well. This is an encoder, so it is loose. It's easy to move, the notches are tangible, right? But the steps are big enough that you know what you've done. It has a click to it. You can probably hear that. It's good enough, it's good. I'm not going to complain about that. And yeah, it's an encoder. The rest of the switches, paddles. Now, what they've done here is, this is 3D printed. Okay, so I'll zoom in. That's 3D printed, but the base is aluminium. Okay, I'll remove this off of here. So the base is aluminium. What they've done is they stuck like a carbon sticker on it. You can't even tell it's a carbon sticker. Well, you can, because obviously you can't. You know it's not carbon, but it's like carbon vinyl. It looks the part. It's not carbon, but it doesn't really matter. So it's got a bit of weight to it. And on the back, OneSimPro, same deal. That's aluminium. These are aluminium. These are so good. Now I'm going to switch this over to my other one. No, before I do, I'll show you what you get with it. So you get your paddles, you stick on, and they are adjustable, by the way. You've got, I'll show you on the other one, like notches where you can screw it in. So there's two here, two there, and there's yeah, so it's got two positions basically, like all the way out. Whoops, I'm not showing you that. All the way out, all the way in. I've put them all the way in. So I'm using this on a 300mm steering wheel. I'll zoom back out again. I'm using that on a 300mm steering wheel. So that's the reason why. Real clicky paddles, like awesomely clicky. But if I had to say there was something I didn't like about this, and there's like one thing, only one thing I don't like about this, okay, is that this just has just a little bit too much travel for me, for my liking. You know, other people wouldn't really care, but you can paddle from. It's rigid, it's stiff, it's good, so clicky, so much feel. Just for me, a little bit too much travel. This has been, yeah, it's been milled, hasn't it? So this has been machined. You might not be able to see it, but there are notches in there. Let's move this over and in. Nah, that's not going to zoom in. Don't worry about it. It's been milled, so yeah. Look, I don't do reviews, so just bear that in mind. So look, I've attached this to my 300mm QSP steering wheel, and this has come with a few challenges. When I stick my thumb, you can see there's not a lot of clearance in here when you've got your thumbs buried in the sides. Like, it's not a great angle, but like you're kind of stuck here. And the same thing, the clearance back here. You've got your hand in, there's not that much to get your little finger in there. You see, this is touching now. I don't think this is really designed for 300mm steering wheel. You should be using a 320 on that at least, or 310 at least. 320 is good, it's perfect for it, but I had a problem with my last button box where I broke it. It was completely wrecked. Now I love that button box. It was made by SimGear, and they make really, it didn't look great, but it worked exceptionally well for what I wanted. It was fully 3D printed, as light as a feather. The paddles were so clicky, everything was 3D printed, so it didn't really have that quality to it, and the buttons weren't super clicky, but the rotaries, like the encoder rotaries, were awesome. They just click, so I've kept them. At some point I'm going to swap those with something else. Now I should probably explain why I've got two of these now. Oh, by the way, while I'm showing you this, I showed you what's in the package. This just pops out. It probably isn't small enough. There we go. It just pops out. So the 3D printed bit right here, it goes in there where that one sits. Okay, it's got the magnets on it. This has got a little magnet on the inside, and it just snaps in, so you could just swap and change them. So what they send you is a Ferrari one, an OSP one for OneSimPro. They send you a bunch of stickers. You can put some stickers on it for all your controls and stuff, so you can see where I've labelled. Why am I pushing this up? I just may as well zoom in. It's much easier. Where I've labelled everything up to how I like, and you can see what I've done there with all the various controls. So I use this red, where are we? I use this red button here for realigning my VR, talk to my crew chief, push to talk to everyone else on the track. That is a pit limiter. I've explained what this is. This is for all the black box controls. This is for like more black box controls, and pushing in is like select or something like that. And then this is probably for an adjustment of a black box control, and then push is for something else in black box. Again, this is all iRacing stuff, so if you use iRacing you'll see what I mean, because it needs a lot of controls. That is increment, and this is decrement on traction control on TC2. So I'm using this for GT. This is the reason why I put this particular button box on this rim, because it gives me loads of buttons, and I normally need a lot of stuff on GTE cars. So this is traction control 1 to adjust up and down, and that would be traction control 2 up, and traction control down. Traction control 2 down would be that button. I might have switched some things around. It says I've got brake bias controls on here, or brakes, but I don't. That's black box stuff. I've changed brake bias up here and brake bias down there, and that is a spare button that I'm probably not going to need in GTE. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. Oh, that's what this is. I think this button might be headlights, flash headlights or something. I can't remember. It's similar to my other thing. So the reason I've got two of these, I'll probably need to explain that in some depth. Now, this is another reason why I'm doing this review, because I think, you know, I need to mention it. OneSimPro, you don't see a lot of these out and about, and don't hear about a lot of people using them. You go to their website, I'll leave a link in there. You should buy their products, honestly. Contact them, buy it. They're really good. So this is the box here. I haven't showed you everything that comes in. I didn't show you the Ferrari badge, so I'll pull that out of my little box where I keep lots of other random stuff. So here we go, a bunch of stickers. that I've used, and a spare badge which is probably in here. Here we go. Give you a Ferrari badge as well, and OneSimPro. So I've got 2 of these now. Right, now I've got to send one of these back. I'm sending this back. There's an issue with it. But, you know, as soon as I realised what the issue was, I emailed the guy. I don't know his name, but I think he's... If you see any YouTube videos on OneSimPro products, you just Google it. I think I'm told that the guy who makes this product is the guy who does the video reviews on it. So, yeah, that guy. Anyway, so... I spoke to him like immediately because I tested it out when I was at work, so I got this delivered to my work. And as you bring this over, like every notch sequences 2 pushes. So let me explain. So that should be 1, 2, right? Let's zoom in. Can't bring the camera down. Zoom in. There we are. That's enough. Right. So you'd expect you to go from traction control 1 to traction control 2. Instead, what it does is it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the notch is, there's like another push between the notches, and it does exactly the same thing for these as well. So if you're cycling through your black box or incrementing or decrementing things in the black box, which I think is this control here, it skips the steps. It goes from 1 to 3, from 3 to 5, from 5 to 7, 7 to 9, and maybe it might hit 8 on another notch and then jump up in 2s after that again, from 8 to 10 and 10 to 12. It's really irritating, and it makes this really hard to use because you can't be like precise with it. Because if you think about it, I'm using this rim and my little fingers, zoom out again, my little fingers are like in here. And it's so easy for me to catch that. So if I've put it between the steps, I can easily just catch it and move it by mistake. Whereas if it's in position, it's not going to move anywhere. And especially I'm using a direct drive steering wheel, so it'll bump around and move and all sorts. And that will just knock it out of position. And I don't know what I've set it to. It's really annoying. So anyway, I contacted him and he said, oh, you know, it could be an issue with the encoders or something or whatever. So I said, like, just send me the parts, because I didn't want to be without this because I use it, you know. And he said he just like, he wanted me to send it back to him, and I sort of, maybe I was being a bit difficult, but I just really didn't want to be without it because I had it and I needed it for this rim, because as I said, the other one broke, and I swapped over my button boxes, the one that was on this rim, over to the other one, and that one over to, yeah. And then what he said was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. I found out that it might have been a batch or this or whatever. There's an Arduino box in it, and he said it could be the code running on it, the way that they've got it to recognize pulses. So I offered to do it myself. It's fine, I can compile it, upload it to the box, it's not a problem. But he said, no, it's fine. He doesn't want me to get involved in it. And cut a long story short, well, that's the end of the story actually. He said, I'll send you one, and when you receive it, send me the old one back. I was like, dude, okay, awesome. That's what I'm doing. The guy's pretty awesome based on that. So that's the story behind this. Now, would I change anything about this the way it is? Some things you probably might want to pay attention to. It's not really for 300mm rims. Like, it's just not. The fact that this comes up so high means you're going to trap your thumbs. Maybe if this was over here and these buttons were over a little bit more, it'd be a bit better, but then it wouldn't look as neat and tidy as it does around here. You see, it looks just so cute. It's part of the appeal, I guess. Let me stick a badge on it. Let's go with Ferrari, why not? It's that way around, right? Is it? I don't know. Maybe it's like that. Something like that, yeah. But they're not going to do anything about that. The same thing with this. I mean, they're cutting it fine. There's not a great deal of space unless they move that over and then push this back, but then it wouldn't be good for those bigger rims. But then my argument is, do you really need this many buttons on a 320mm rim? Because what sort of car are you driving that has this many buttons on a car that has 320mm? Because it's normally like production based cars, so they don't have all of these features. It's going to be more GT cars. So that's why I've stuck it on this rim, because it has so many functions. Excuse me. Now the other button box I'm using, which I'm going to do a direct comparison between this and my other one now, because I've switched that over. And the main reason why I didn't stop using the other one on this rim, which is a smaller rim, is because it didn't give me all the buttons I needed for GT racing. It was limited. And how much is it limited? But I'll show you in a minute actually. So I didn't mention this, by the way. It's got this for the USB, and I whacked an XLR on it on the USB cable, because my USB is on XLRs. It's like a 6-pin, I think it is, but I'm not using all the pins. I'm only using 4 pins and out of ground. The reason why I do that is because I solder it on there. It snaps on behind the rim. I may as well show you that. Can you see that? That there. And it's stuck. There's some magnets back there as well, like between here. So what happens is this snaps on, Bosch goes in there, connects to those magnets, and keeps it in place. And I've scratched away the paint on that, so it's just earthed perfectly, so I don't get any EMF. This button box did give me EMF. It had to be earthed, unlike my other one. Other two, not really. I mean, it didn't suffer so badly, but this one suffered a lot more than that one. So just bear that in mind if you're going to get this. Make sure it's grounded well. You figure out a way to ground it onto your direct drive wheel if you've got one. So that's why I've got the XLR on it. I've waffled. I'm going to show you this as well. What I had to do is this QSP rim, because it's got these big, you can't see this very well, but it's very, very padded. I absolutely love this rim, but okay, look here. This is like super, super padded, and that's padded so much that I couldn't get the metal bit to sit flush. And you see I've put a spacer in there. It's like a piece of steel that I got with my, it's just a PCD like thing, 70mm spacer, and it was enough. It was enough to bridge the gap between the two, so I can at least do that. Sometimes I found I'm driving hard, and my fingers are touching, my thumbs are rubbing up against here, and it's working this loose. So I guess that's a bad idea to have these screwable, but because of the application I'm using it in, it's a bad idea. Otherwise, I don't think it'd affect anyone. So I'm going to make a direct comparison between this and the other one I've got, the SimRacingCoach. Now, I think there's a guy called Chris Hay. Sorry if I've got your name wrong. He's done a review on this, and the review he did on his one, he has like, I think it's called SLI or something. He's even got like an LED bar up there with like LED indicators and stuff. And you can see like shifting lights up and all that kind of stuff. My one's the same as that, but it just doesn't have those lights. I race in VR, so I'm not really bothered about that sort. I can't see it, so it makes no difference at all to me. So I'm just running it, you know, as a button box really. The way it looks to me doesn't matter. The way it feels, it does. I love the feel of this rim, and I love the feel of this one too. So I'm going to show you this one. It's just the SimRacingCoach one. So this is 320mm, and what do I like about this? I love the way it looks. The quality is amazing. You can see this is 3D printed as well. They've 3D printed in SimRacingCoach up here. You can't really see that. Let's see if we can catch the light just right on it. It's really hard to see. Let's move this camera around. Can we see that? We zoom right in. You could just about make that out. It's not perfect. These paddles are great. Oh, by the way, it's carbon. So the back piece is carbon, front piece is carbon, the shifters are carbon, as opposed to the other one, which is aluminium. Very rigid, not as clicky as the other ones, but less travel. Look, just less travel, and I like that. It just does have less travel. I like the way this kind of like, it comes out like this. It's sort of like a triangle, because you just catch your finger on it so perfect. You don't know what it is, just the way you just, feels good. I just got to say, it feels good. These feel, I wish they could be more clicky. I'm being really like, I'm really being really anal about this, but I just wish they were more clicky. You see I've added more magnets to it to make it more clicky, but to be honest, I don't think it really makes a big difference to it. You can adjust how far this comes in and out just by unscrewing it. You can't, it's really bad. Sorry, I'm not set up for this sort of thing, because I'm not a YouTuber, let's be honest. Maybe I'll get the torch out on my phone and then you can see it better. Oh, here we are. Perfect. Which way round are we? See, I'm trying to look at this screen. Look at that, there's screws under here. Oh man, I need more practice at this, don't I? There we are. You can see the screws just over here. And there's a hole here, this vacant. Oh man, I'm mucking this up. Anyway, you sort of get the idea. You just move this whole piece along by moving those screws, and mine is all the way back towards the center, so I don't need them to come out any further than they already do. So I don't want them to extend beyond where the actual the rim ends. It's just not really comfortable for me. That's a subjective thing. Everyone has their own opinion on that, but I'm going to talk about this quickly because there were some things I didn't like about this. And for the money, they're both like in the same price bracket. They both cost the same. I think it's about 300 euros, I think, something like that. Oh wow, got kids' toys in the background. You could probably disregard that. About 300 euros, 350 or something like that. Now, this is really good. It just doesn't have enough buttons. It has 2 rotaries with pushes, and everything else is what they are. Knit switches. You can pull them out. I've got a bunch of these more knit switches with them, like different colours, but these are the only colours it comes with, apart from black. There's a black as well, but I don't use that. Just because when I'm looking at it and it's on my rim, you could just see the button and it's not black. That's all. Yeah, so switches, very clicky compared to this. They're not as clicky, but these have got more travel than those. These ones kind of, they're harder to push in. I guess that's better. It's subjective. I do prefer this, but again, it's a subjective thing. Like, it's up to you. This has less travel, these have less travel, this has more travel, and you've got to kind of push through a stage before it will go in. It just is what it is. The thing I don't like about this is it doesn't have as many options to control like this one does. I wish this was an encoder rather than just a position switch, let's say, but you know, and I wish that was a button, which is not. The thing that I don't like about this is these encoders. Now, they're Bodmer coded. If you look on their website, this is again SimRacingCoach. If you look on their website, they say they use Bodmer coders. Now, if they do, that's what they do, but I don't rate them. Sorry. The ones on my Sim Gear button box were better than this. You barely feel a thing. You just don't feel it. And if you're wearing gloves, good luck. And the push, nothing. It moves very, very, very slightly. I hope you can see that. I'm pushing this one here on this side, and you can barely see that move. And I'm going to move this right up to the mic now. I'm wearing a lapel mic, so you can probably hear it. Just about. That's the problem. That is a huge problem as far as I'm concerned, because you don't know you've pushed that button, and you barely feel anything. And I think for what it's worth, these encoders need to go and change. I'm going to change them with the ones I got from my Sim Gear, because as I said, I broke it, and I'm just going to recycle the parts. I'm going to take them off and desolder them and solder them onto this at some point, and I'll get around to it, because this is just not providing enough feel. It's just the fact of it. Costs about the same money, and yeah, could be better. Now, I haven't tried this new one yet. I haven't tried this yet to see if they fixed the problem. So I guess while I've got you here, I'm going to give it a go. Now, everything's sticking to these magnets. So what I've done with this is sort of wrap that around there. Let's poke that out. This comes out. Do I need to unscrew that? Probably not, actually. I'll have to do it anyway eventually, so let's just do it now. So I've got to switch these rims over. So I just snap that in there, it just makes my life a bit easier, so nothing gets messed up, coiled or whatever when I'm racing. It just stays in one place. So this is the moment of truth. see if they fixed the issue. Let's plug this into Windows. Alright, that's plugged in. Switch up this view. There we go. Let's get a camera on there actually. We don't have a camera, never mind. We'll just throw up this. Alright. There shouldn't really be any EMF from this because the direct drive wheel's off. Shift 1, Shift 2. 1, 2. Ah, they've done it. They fixed it. Yep. So this is the right rotary on the side. This is the left rotary, no, the right rotary on the front. So 1 notch, 2 notch, 3 notch, 4 notch, 5 notch. Now it goes through it early, not when it lands. Oh, is that 2? No. Yeah, doesn't really matter. At least it's doing it. Perfect. That's the other one, and this. 1, 2, 2, 3. Yep. Was that 2? Yeah, does it. Works like a charm. So I'll show you what the other one was failing to do. So that's the good one. That is the good one. I'm going to plug the old one back in so you can see what the problem was. Oh, what have I done? Sorry, magnets are getting all messed up here. Plugging into the wrong thing. Okay, let's find that USB XLR. Cut. Okay. So for every notch, as you can see, it goes through 2 buttons. So that's the other rotary. You can see what's going on here. There's a better way of me doing this actually. It's probably better if I let's probably pull this up so I can make sure everything's in view. Bring this around. Yeah, as I said, I'm no YouTuber. I don't have a production thing going on, so I do the best I can. Right, here's the screen, here's the wheel, where's my mouse? Oh well, I've messed that one up. Let's get that and bring that over here. That makes a bit more sense. You could probably see this, so see this. Let's get this in view. We'll just pick one. This. Nah, you can't see it. It's worth a try. You get the idea anyway. That's pretty much what the problem was. As I said, dude was awesome. He smashed it. Wicked customer service, and I don't know if I could be bothered to do this actually, but I might show some B-roll of me driving with it. But to do that, I have to get that camera there and move it behind me and show me driving. I'm not sure if I could be bothered, but you get the picture. I'm sending this one back to Spain, where it came from, to the awesome guy that sent it to me in the first place. And I recommend you lot buy his products, because if I had to pick between these two, as much as I love the longer shifters and the carbon, and its fat is a little bit lighter, and this is a bit heavier because it's aluminium and whatnot, I just can't do without these buttons, and so much so that I've stuck it on a 300mm rim. For God's sake, do you know what I mean? I've stuck it on 300mm. This does weigh a bit, but just that alone was worth it for me. And for the price you pay for it, you get outstanding quality, great customer service, a bunch of stickers, shifters and badges. Like, the only thing he didn't throw in was a bag of sweets. I'm not sure if SimRacingCoach sent in any sweets, but simgear.co.uk did. Stefan sent me sweets and gave them to my kid, and that was just nice. You know, I could buy sweets, they're like 20p, but it's nice getting a bag of sweets. Oh, but they did. SimRacingCoach, he sent me some extra buttons with different colours, but I can just move these colours around, so I'm alright. Hey, I don't care about colours, really. It's just for somebody else that's using it, I can show them what the thing does before they stick on the headset. Like, say, the blue button or the yellow button or this button or that button. It's easier than me physically pointing it out. But yeah, that's it really. I can't think I've forgotten anything. As I said, the only thing I change on this is the travel. It just feels like too much, but it's so sticky, so clicky, so awesome. And again, he gives you extra magnets. He sticks them to their front and back, I think. Like, there's extra magnets on both sides, for God's sake. It's just like, what more could you want? So I'd recommend this totally. OneSimPro. Before I sign out, let's put the other one back on, their one on, so you get the full advert. It's this company, OneSimPro. Okay, that's my review. It's the only review in English, so yeah. If you don't like it, well, do one. You do, no, what I mean by that is you do a review. Because I was looking for reviews before I bought this, and I found out the hard way that this is not an encoder. Hey, there's no other reviews on the internet, so that's why I'm making this one, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. And I think that other guy, Chris Hay, was the only one who did a review on the SimRacingCoach, but his one came with the doodah. So I figured, I did talk about this in my kartcraft video, briefly, not a lot, just briefly. I mentioned what I liked about that and what I liked about the SimGear one. You'll hear me talking about that, but it's kind of old. It's in there somewhere. It's the only kartcraft video I've ever done. I don't play a lot of kartcraft these days. Don't know why. I do know why, because I'm waiting for them to get SimVibe stuff sorted out. So that's not their fault. That's SimVibe. We need to sort that out. Anyway, that's that. I've rambled on far too long. Thanks for watching. See ya.